Today, Bitcoin climbs to take the $120,000 level. Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev says tokenized stocks could overshadow traditional financial markets. And Bart Smith, CEO of Avalanche Treasury Company, discusses the new $1 billion treasury holding the AVAX token. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Brandon Gomez. Crypto markets in the green this morning as the tech-heavy NASDAQ rises and the U.S. government shutdown continues. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin climbed more than 2%, trading just shy of $120,000. Ether rose 2.5% to $44.40, and XRP ticked higher to just under $3. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev believes tokenization will eventually eat the entire financial system. When speaking at Token 2049 this week in Singapore, he said he thinks it'll be the default way for foreign investors to get exposure to U.S. markets. He also said he expects the U.S. to be one of the last economies to fully tokenize, given what he calls the sticking power of its financial infrastructure. Now, an embrace of tokenization would benefit Robinhood, which launched 200 tokenized U.S. stocks to EU customers back in June. The firm's stock popped by around 13% following that rollout. Next, Donald Trump Jr. says conflict of interest concerns surrounding World Liberty Financial are complete nonsense. Also, at Token 2049, Trump Jr. defended the family's crypto business, telling CNBC he doesn't believe anyone thinks his father, quote, would be looking at ledgers on the blockchain to see who bought what. This comes after World Liberty announced plans to launch new products like a debit card and tokenized commodity assets. Trump Jr. is a co-founder of the crypto platform, and Zach Witkoff is its CEO. He's the son of Steve Witkoff, who serves as the U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East under this administration. The company was founded last year before President Trump won the 2024 election and has since launched a U.S. dollar peg stablecoin and has a publicly traded governance token, WLFI. All right, for our main story, I spoke with Bart Smith, head of the Avalanche Treasury Company. The firm announced yesterday it's combining with Mountain Lake Acquisition Corporation to create a $1 billion treasury firm that holds Avalanche's AVAX token. I asked him about the new treasury and why so many similar companies are coming to market. We're hearing a lot about crypto treasury companies popping up. In fact, just yesterday, we reported on VisionSys AI, a publicly traded firm which announced the launch of a treasury tied to the Solana token. And now you head a new Avalanche-focused treasury company. Talk to me a little bit about that and why Avalanche.
Well, so I believe that the regulatory clarity that we have in the United States has created a platform for businesses to try to integrate blockchain technology into their businesses to be more efficient and be more competitive. In my years of analyzing the cryptocurrency space, I've always been very encouraged by the software component of Avalanche. That people generally think of the benefit of these blockchains are that there's a network effect that they have, but Avalanche to me is a little bit different. There's the ability for people to build their own L1s out of the box, and those that allows them to think. I think of it as enterprise software that these companies are implementing. And so I feel like the time is ripe for Avalanche. And so it kind of led to my decision to lead this treasury.
Is that the key distinction there? I mean, how does an Avalanche treasury company compare to those tied to other cryptocurrencies, say like Solana or Bitcoin?
Well, it's a different opportunity set, right? And so I think that there is not going to be a winner take all, particularly outside of Bitcoin. I think there's going to be different blockchains that have different benefits that are going to be implemented within, business or finance or, in gaming and ticketing. And so I believe that the business vertical is one that Avalanche is going to be poised to win. And so that's really kind of my motivation.
Generally speaking, if we broaden it out, I mean, what do you think about the crypto treasury trend, right? I mean, some say it's here to stay. Others are saying that it's destined to fizzle out. Obviously, you have some belief in the longevity, given your stake in it now. But what are your general thoughts in terms of longevity?
So I think that there's definitely a lot of noise in the space right now, to be certain. a digital asset treasury is not good or bad. The same way an ETF is not good or bad. An ETF is just a wrapper, and it's just a function of what you do inside of that wrapper. I think there's a lot of different flavors of digital asset treasuries. What you've seen most commonly is digital asset treasuries that are existing businesses that in many cases, probably haven't been terribly successful, and they either pivot or they are effectively taken over for the purposes of using that shell to get to market quickly with a pipe investment. And there's still this kind of existing zombie business that exists that people aren't really primarily investing in. And then there's this other business. And I feel like in those cases, it's a little bit confusing. We have gone a different route where we are going to have a solely dedicated business that doesn't have this other operating business, which is a little bit more work, right? It takes more time. You have to set a company up from scratch. You have to go out and get investors into a company that hasn't existed. We believe that is going to provide a better platform for us in the long run. It will not be confusing to the market what our main priorities are. And so I think that there's going to be winners and losers in the digital asset space, the way there are in every other asset management business or every other competing operating business, in finance or, in stocks. And so, I believe that given my experience over time, I can apply some of that experience to this. And I feel like we will distinguish ourselves from the field.
You mentioned, there's a lot of noise in the industry. There will be some losers in the industry as well. At the same time, the Wall Street Journal reports that financial regulators are examining unusual trading patterns, right, in shares of over 200 companies that adopted a crypto treasury strategy. There's been this concern over high trading volumes. I mean, how do you sort of reconcile that conversation that's taking place? Is that part of the noise as well? Or are there some bad actors out there right now?
Well, I can't speak to people's motivations, and certainly I can't speak to an ongoing SEC investigation that I don't really know much about. I do think that the purpose of kind of going the SPAC route is that you don't have a legacy business you have to be concerned about, and so we have raised this most recent financing to the best we possibly could to abide by SEC rules. And I can't really comment on if maybe other people in other situations may not have.
Well, let's zoom in on your company, right? Which has an exclusive relationship with the Avalanche Foundation. Today, as you said, announced a business combination agreement with the publicly traded company Mountain Lake Acquisition, valued at more than $671 million. Now, that of course includes transaction. That transaction includes approximately $453 million in Treasury assets, and it's designed to create a public vehicle for exposure to the AVAX token. And so the now combined company, right, correct me if I'm wrong, expects to list on the NASDAQ in Q1 of next year. That's subject to regulatory and shareholder approval. Now, take us through at least today's announcement a little bit. What do you want, to partner with Mountain Lake Acquisition specifically? What made you want to do that?
Well, again, we think it's important to have scale, right, in this business. What we're looking to do is provide a regulated vehicle for people to get exposure to the holistic growth of the Avalanche ecosystem. And in some of those cases, the growth of the ecosystem will derive value down to the token itself. In this vehicle, our goal is to not just solely purchase AVAX and stake it, but we will have activities that will provide different types of value creation for shareholders, where things that could be, investing in validators, to run nodes. We could be making direct investments into protocols that are and L1s that are building on top of Avalanche. And so the idea is to kind of take the concept that Michael Saylor kind of pioneered in strategy and expand that so that we have a broader array of things that we can do to provide shareholder value. I think one of the things that's interesting to note is that most industries were afforded the benefit of being able to create a public company. They could issue debt, they could issue equity, they could issue convertible bonds, they could meet investors where they wanted to invest. The proceeds of that could be put into an enterprise. And if that enterprise did well, shareholders and bondholders would do well. Mm. And so this industry historically was not afforded that same benefit. And these structures now allow the capital markets to invest in digital assets the way that every other industry was allowed to seek capital and grow.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World today. We're back again tomorrow, and we will see you then.